Hey, Chaotic Crew, Brian here, and we've got the Tarkir Dragonstorm Commander decks being spoiled as we speak. And first up, Shiko and Narset Unified for the Jeskai Striker Commander deck. Before we dive into it, wanted to let you know that we are giving away one Precon of your choice from this set. Just make sure to comment on all of our Precon upgrade videos. This comment for this video is going to be, what's your favorite red, white, and blue card? It can be Captain America, it could be Ruhan of the Formori, it could be Shiko and Narset Unified, who, is the head of this commander deck. Just let me know what your favorite, American red, white, and blue, Jeskai, however you want to say it, what your favorite card is from Magic the Gathering. And you know what, we're going to be, whoever comments on all these videos, we're going to choose one winner, going to be able to choose a copy of any of the commander decks from this set that we can send over to them in the US. So make sure to like and subscribe to check out all of the future videos coming out. But right now, let's dive into this deck. So Shiko and Narset Unified, 1, and then Jeskai for a 4/4 Flying Vigilance Human Spirit Dragon. And has Flurry, which is a new keyword from the set. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, copy that spell if it targets a permanent or player, and you may choose new targets for the copy. If you don't copy a spell this way, draw a card. So this is a really cool commander. I think a really unique way you could build this is to maybe go more of a Voltron, put a bunch of buff spells in your deck, and sort of on your turn double those cards. Very fun way to go about that. What this deck does though is it has a bunch of token generators, has a couple ways to burn your opponent, and you just want to cast a bunch of non-creature spells. So it's all about capitalizing on that, casting more non-creature spells, and kind of going from there. So diving more into the deck, the secondary commander, Elsha, Threefold Master, is a 3-mana 1/1, Trample and Prowess. And Prowess, an amazing ability. When you cast a non-creature spell, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So really great there, but Elsha also when it deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 white monk creature tokens with Prowess. I have seen a lot of Prowess decks pop up in the last, since the Bloomburrow set with the Otters, and I think this is going to be one of the most popular commanders coming out of this set here. I'm going to see a lot of this. It's great at Voltroning, and it also makes a lot. It's also great at going wide because it makes more 1/1s that get big. So it kind of goes wide too, right? Moving on to more cards. Transcendent Dragon, also a new card. 6 mana for a 4/3 dragon, flash and flying. When it enters, if you cast it, you counter target spell. So essentially holding this up as a 6 mana counter spell. Now, why is that good? Great question. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard, then you may cast it without paying its mana cost. So this is sort of a way to get a free trigger off of your commander, right? You just open the mana, someone maybe targets one of your things or targets an opponent's thing. You cast Transcendent Dragon, you get to copy their spell, and then you copy it again with Shiko, essentially. So you get 2 triggers of the thing that you counter if you have Shiko on the battlefield. So really cool interaction there with the commander. We have Voracious Bibliophile, 4 mana for a 3/3 dragon, Flying Vigilance. Whenever you cast a spell with 1 or more targets, draw that many cards. So also going to be very good, especially if you're using a lot of removal or buffing your own things. Could definitely be solid. Caldera Pyre, 5 mana 3/3 flyer. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, put a 1/1 counter on this creature, then this creature deals damage equal to its power to target opponent. So if you go in the burn strategy, this is a great new card, and I think a lot of decks are going to love this. Mengar the Diplomat in the deck. It is a 4 mana 2/4 human cleric with lifelink. When the opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you, or planeswalkers you control, you draw a card. Whenever opponent casts their second spell each turn, you draw a card. So Mangara is a good way to sort of get some of that card draw. Monastery Mentor is a 2/2 or Prowess. When you cast a non-creature spell, make a 1/1 with Prowess. So very good there, kind of tying back into Elsha. We also have Haughty Djinn. Let's start with Archmage Emeritus. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, you draw a card. This is going to be a game changer in this deck. Haughty Djinn, 3 mana, star 4, power and toughness, or power, is just equal to the number of instant sources in your graveyard. and instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Pretty solid there. Lear, Disciple of the Drowned, spells can't be countered, which includes your opponents as well, so just be careful about that. Each instant and sorcery in your graveyard has flashback. The flashback cost is equal to that card's mana cost, so strong there. Mana Form Hellkite. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you make an XX red dragon illusion with flying and haste, where X is the mana spent. Exile that token at the beginning of the next end step. So another way to sort of generate tokens and deal lots of damage to your opponents. I kind of see this card as more of a burn spell than token generation, because you're losing those tokens. Baral and Kari Zev is cool. It's a 3-mana 2/4 first strike menace. When you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, you may cast a spell with lesser mana value that shares a card type with it from your hand without paying its mana cost. If you don't, create First Mate Ragavan. This card's neat. It's getting you those 2 triggers per turn if you have it, but the only issue is there's going to be a lot of times where maybe you don't have it, and you maybe already have a 2/1 red monkey, right? So it's not that valuable. Velomachus Lorehold is pretty cool. 7 mana, 5/5 flying vigilance haste dragon. When it attacks, look at the top 7 of your library. You can cast an instant or sorcery with mana value less than or equal to its power from among them without paying its mana cost. Put the rest of the bottom in your library in a random order. I think they did a good job of trying to include some dragons in here too, right? They made some new dragons, and they included old dragons in this deck to sort of make it fit that, Dragons of Tarkir vibe, where you have both the clans and the dragons working together. I think the dragons maybe add a bit of less consistency to the deck in a way. They're kind of some of them going in different directions. Veyron Voice of Duality is really good. Gonna give him +1/+1 whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery. And then when you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, it causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger. That ability triggers an additional time. Young Pyromancer, making those 1/1 elemental tokens whenever you cast an instant or sorcery. Goblin Electromancer makes them cost 1 less. Cutter Snipe is burning each opponent for 2. Stormkiln Artist, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, giving you a treasure token, and it also busts himself, but that's neither here nor there. And then Third Path Iconoclast, giving you some 1/1 colorless soldier artifacts when you cast instant or sorceries, or just non-creatures in general. Really, really good creature package. Maybe a bit too many creatures, right? We've got 19, including the commander, in a deck that really wants to be casting instant and sorceries. So maybe we need to tweak that a little bit. A Lionheart, 3 mana for a new card, Flurry. When you recast your second spell each turn, put a rally counter on this enchantment, then create a 1/1 white monk creature token with prowess for each rally counter on it. So we're getting kind of a theme here of getting those prowess creatures on the battlefield. So definitely this deck can overwhelm your opponents with a lot of 1/1 with prowess. Then you maybe cast 2 or 3 spells in a turn, and your tokens become 4/4s, right? So very strong there. Tempest Technique, a new card, 4 mana enchantment aura with Storm. Enchant creature gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control. So really strong in an enchantment deck. We were only running 6 here. If 4 mana, we're probably only casting 2 or 3 spells, including this one. So if this is the last one we're casting, we get 3 of it. So yeah, it is buffing something +9/+9 for 4 mana, but is that even worth that? I don't know, right? In this deck, it may not be worth it. Whirlwind of Thought, though, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, draw a card, I think is definitely worth it. You want to be drawing tons of cards. This deck is all about casting non-creature spells, so, I think it's great. Ghostly Prison. Creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature they control that's attacking you. This is maybe difficult to block. I don't know. Your commander is flying and vigilance, so I think we've got a good blocking situation going here. I don't think we necessarily need Ghostly Prison in here, but a good reprint. Curse of Opulence, also good reprint. It does target with the aura. So, when enchanted players attack, create a gold token. Each opponent attacking that player does the same. So early game, this is great ramp, but late game, you could also target multiple people and just get a lot of ramp off of it. Later game. Shining Impetus is also great. Gonna give a creature +2/+2 and goaded, and whenever it attacks, you make a treasure. So very good ramp there for you. And if you can copy it, you can put it on 2 opponents' creatures and start going to town. Very strong there. For artifacts, we have Adaptive Training Post, which is a new card. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, if this artifact has fewer than 3 charge counters, put a charge counter on it. Then you can remove 3 charge counters. Next time you cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy it, and you may choose new targets for the copy. So just copying more instant and sorceries, doing a pretty good job there. We're getting Arcane Signet, Sol Ring, Azorius, Boros, Izzet Signet, Felwar Stone, and Talisman of Progress. Only the white and blue talisman there. Instants, we got 15 of them. Transforming Flourish is a new card, and it has Demonstrate. Destroy target artifact or creature you don't control. If that permanent is destroyed this way, its controller exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card, then they may cast that card without paying its mana cost. So Demonstrate is, you can copy it, but if you copy it, your opponent's got to copy too. Don't love it here because your opponents can use this to destroy one of your things, right? This is kind of like a Chaos War, but it's only for artifact or creatures. And I don't know, I don't think it's as good as Chaos Warp, and it's kind of, giving your opponent a copy isn't ideal either, because they may spite you and give you, or if you give a copy to someone else, there could be politics here. This could be a fun card, but I'm just not the biggest fan of it. Narset's Reversal is really cool. Copy target instant or sorcery. Return it to its owner's hand. You may choose new targets for the copy. And especially if this is your second spell in a turn, right? You can copy this, right? And then you can, copy either the first spell you had in the stack or copy the opponent's spell twice. Sublime Epiphany is great. 6 mana. You counter a spell, counter target activated or triggered ability, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, target player draws a card. So you are targeting a lot here, and what's really cool about this card is that you don't have to use every mode, but obviously the most you can get out of it, the better. Obviously, if you copy it, you can't counter multiple spells or multiple activated or triggered abilities, but if you're able to set it up to where you can copy this with your commander, you can draw a couple cards, you can make 2 tokens, you can return 2 things to their opponent's hands, but I think is worth it for 6 mana. Electro Dominance is really cool. Deal X damage to any target, so it could be 1 or 2 or whatever, and then you can cast a spell with mana value X or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. So a quick way to sort of be able to cast a second spell from your hand, right? Which is nice. Expansion Explosion. First side is 2 Hybrid Izzet. Copy target instant or sorcery with mana value 4 or less. You may choose new targets for the copy, which is good. These copy spells could also be good for counter wars. Like if your opponent counters one of your things, you can copy the counter, right, and counter that. So very strong there. Explosion deals X damage to any target. Target player draws X cards. So Explosion is kind of a way to potentially end games, especially if you're going to be casting it and copying it with your commander. You get to deal twice X to any target and draw twice X cards. So very strong. Magma Opus, 8 mana card. It deals 4 damage divided as you choose among any number of targets. And tap 2 target permanents. Create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. Draw 2 cards. You can pay 2 Hybrid Izzet to discard and create treasure tokens. So could also ramp early on, but later game is a very powerful spell. Prismari Command is solid. You choose 2 modes. 2 damage to any target. Target player draws 2 cards and discards 2 cards. Target player just creates a treasure token or destroy target artifact. So you're targeting no matter what mode you choose here, and very good with your commander to copy. Now, a reminder with modal spells, you do copy the modes when you copy them. So something to keep in mind there. Swords to Plowshares is classic. Exiling a creature. Controller gains life equal to its power. Considers great. Surveilling 1, draw a card. These are just quick ways to maybe, fire off 1 spell and then be able to cast another spell that you want to copy. Frantic Search is a good way to do that too, because you're untapping up to 3 lands, so it's essentially a free card. Opt is great. Pongify, a good removal that you could copy as well, since you're getting a lot of, monks with prowess. Giving someone a 3/3 Green Ape, not the worst thing in the world. Think Twice is another quick, draw card with Flashback. Flashback's great here just because, if you don't have a second spell or something, you can flash this back for 3 mana and then maybe be able to cast something else, right? A Braid is solid as well, good removal. And Big Score, also good to draw cards. If you're copying, well, you can't copy this, but you're making 2 treasure tokens, so it's essentially you're just paying 2 mana for this card and getting 2 new cards out of it. So pretty good there. And then over here in the sorceries, new card, Will of the Jeskai. Choose 1 if you control a commander. As you cast a spell, you may choose both. Each player may discard their hand and draw 5 cards. Each instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to its mana cost. Okay, that can be pretty good there. Refilling your hand is important, and obviously in a deck that's discarding some of its or using a lot of instant sorceries, good to give them all flashback. Vanquish the Horde is a great reprint here. Gonna essentially destroy all creatures for 2 mana, which is always strong. Dismantling Wave gets rid of artifacts, enchantments, and if you can cycle it, destroys them all. Ancestral Vision is a cool way to do this. Target player draws 3 cards and has to spend 4. So you play this, and what's great is you can essentially have it to where when the suspend comes off, you can play an instant before you're up, like as you turn to your upkeep, right? Or as the trigger goes in the stack to remove a counter, and then so that's the first spell, and then when the last counter gets removed, this will be the second spell, and then you'll draw 6 cards. So it can be very strong there. Also with cards like Electro Dominance, right? You can cast the spell of 0, right? So you can pay 2 mana to deal 0 damage to a target, and then cast this spell for free from your hand. And draw, all those cards. Baral's Expertise is return up to 3 target artifacts and creatures to their owner's hands. Then you can cast a spell with mana value 4 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. So another way to sort of cast Ancestral Vision, but also gets rid of 3 things on the board. So really good there. Curse the Swine, exiling X creatures, and then its controller creates 2/2 green board creature token for each creature exiled this way. So pretty good there. Rite of Replication, fantastic card to copy. If you can get the kicker, that's amazing. But if you don't get the kicker, you can still copy it with your commander, so you can get 2 copies of something. So I think a really strong card in here. Time Wipe, another board wipe that protects one of your creatures, right? And then, of course, you Time Wipe. Compulsive Research, target player draws 3 cards, and the player discards 2 cards unless they discard a land card. So if you can copy this, you're drawing 6 cards and discarding 2 lands. Not bad at all. Deep Analysis, target player draws 2 cards with a flashback spell, which is great too. You can be drawing some cards there. Ponder, another quick card to start the first spell in a turn. Same with Preordain. Faithless Looting as well, drawing 2, discarding 2. Mana Geyser just gets you a bunch of red mana to maybe cast another big spell that you want to copy. And then Expressive Iteration is good as well in any kind of spell slinger deck to get things going. And then lands, we don't really have anything crazy. We are, having all of the lands that enter tapped unless you control other lands of that type. You have all of the hybrid lands like this. You have all the 3 of the temples that let you scry. You get the Mystic Monastery, which comes in tapped. Ash Barrens, which will help. Path of Ancestry. Perilous, the Landscape will get you, and then you have Reliquary Tower, which is nice to give you no max hand size. But nothing crazy in that land base. I will say, taking cards out was pretty difficult in this deck. We really wanted to stick to one kind of strategy, right? There was a bit of burn, there was a bit of token generation, there was a bit of other things going on. Really wanted to focus on one thing in particular, and I think what this deck did a lot of was the token generation. Generating a lot of tokens by casting instant and sorcery spells. So wanted to stick to that and wanted to take out cards that maybe didn't align with that plan. So first off, we took out Baral and Kari Zev. Yes, it's creating a token, and you're potentially casting spells, but it's pretty inconsistent, right? And I think overall, it's not amazing. Caldera Pyrma. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, you put a 1/1 counter. It's burning your opponents, right? That and Gunner Snipe. We're not really going for the burn. We're trying to win with combat damage with these monks that we're creating, with these other tokens that we're creating. So I think it's important to understand that. Also, getting rid of 2 more creatures is beneficial because we want more instant and sorceries, to do that. Also, these are payoffs for the instant sorcery. If you're going a burn strategy, these 2 are great. But I think if you want to focus more on the tokens, you can take these 2 out. Haughty Djinn, not bad. It makes your instant sorceries cost less, and it's a strong flying blocker and attacker, right? I could definitely argue that put it in. I think this was the last card I decided to take out, but it's interesting, right? You could take it out, you could keep it in. It's a good card, but it also doesn't exactly fit the theme of what we're going for, but it does potentially help, and it's another creature to have taken out. Maniform Hellkite, like I said, I treat this one more as a burn card because you lose the tokens at the end of the turn, so I decided to take this one out too. Mangara doesn't really do anything, and you don't get any payoff for casting spells. It's all your opponents. You're waiting on your opponents to do things, and they may not cast 2 spells on a turn. They may not attack you, right, with 2 or more creatures. If it's a Voltron deck, they may do neither of those things, right? So just something to think about. Velmark's Lorehold, also a great card in general, and I think really cool to have in this deck. And sure, you get to cast a spell with it, but you're casting 7 mana for your dragon. You don't really have more mana to cast multiple spells in your opponent's turns. You're essentially just hoping that you get a good target for it when you attack with it for your commander. Otherwise, it's a good flying blocker as well with Vigilance, but I don't know. I decided to take it out. Mana Geyser also, I feel like, doesn't really have a place here. The only thing you would really use this for are some of those big mana spells, but at the same time, we don't really have a ton of those. We have a lot of cheaper spells, right, that we're casting. And Mana Geyser, may feel like, well, may help cast big creatures or something, but it's just like not worth it, I feel like. But a good reprint to have for sure. Vanquish the Horde also, we're making a bunch of tokens, so maybe board wiping isn't the best thing we want to be doing here. You could have also taken out time wipe. Either one, I think you can definitely take out and sort of make it better. Will the Jeskai also doesn't really do a whole lot here. Sure, you're discarding your hand, and you can give all the cards that were in your hand flashback, and you're drawing 5 new cards. I think this can go in a wheel deck, or you're drawing twice as many cards as whatever, or when you discard cards, you draw that many cards. That can be very good in like the Shabraz style decks, right? But I think 4 mana to give all your stuff flashback, you have to have a ton of mana to work with. And there's no reason to really give both modes unless you just really want the 5 cards. I don't know. Doesn't seem like an amazing card in here. Think Twice, it's good. It's a cheap card, but we can put better ones in there to be able to, cast first before we copy a spell. Transforming Flourish, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of it. Your opponent can destroy one of your own things as well, and there's no guarantee you're not giving your opponent still a really amazing thing, and it's only targeting artifacts or creatures, so not amazing in here. Ghostly Prison, like I said, you don't really need it in here. Your commander's a great blocker already, and yeah, you're also making a lot of tokens on the ground. So this deck also does a lot of control and removal, so I don't think you need Ghostly Prison. Tempest Technique as well. We're not running a ton of enchantments in here, and you're going to get 2 or 3 of these, typically at most in this deck, or maybe 4, right? 5 if you can copy with your commander, but, at that point, that may be worth it for you, and maybe not, but I decided to take it out. I don't think it goes specifically with this deck, but it definitely is a very strong card. And then I took out Evolving Wilds to make the land count 36 instead of 37, just lowering it to down there. Moving forward with the cards we added in, we have a bunch of stuff. I wanted to start here. Talisman of Conviction and Talisman of Creativity. We're just adding both of these talismans back to the deck. Or not back to the deck, but to the deck to sort of help with the mana ramp. We didn't have a ton of mana ramp, right? But want to make sure we're trying to get our commander out on turn 3 if possible. 4 mana commander loves turn 3. And that way, turn 4, you can go ahead and start using Shiko's ability to really either draw cards or copy spells and get lots of value off of it. So that's really good there. Shark Typhoon, also amazing. When you're casting non-creature spells, you're making XX blue sharks with flying. So very strong here. Most of our deck is non-creature spells, so doing a lot there. Then we have a lot of instants that we're adding to the deck. Boros Charm can give us protection, but if we want to copy it, right, we can deal 8 damage to a player. I love when I've used Boros Charm to deal 4 damage to a player and kill them. But now, if we can copy Boros Charm, we can deal 8 damage to a player. Or, you can give 2 different creatures double strike until end of turn. So very possible, very strong card there. Can do pretty well. Call it Coppercoats, another way to create a ton of tokens, right? You're just making a bunch of human soldier tokens, and because Strive is part of the cost, right? If you use the Strive cost, you copy it with the Strive ability. Crush Contraband is great removal. You can exile an artifact and exile an enchantment, and if you copy it, you can do them both again. So good to have more of that kind of removal in the deck. We are also running Requisition Raid, which does the same thing, but also kind of gives you the chance to put a 1/1 counter on each of your creatures, right, as well. Or maybe you can sort of politic and give it to your opponents. Mystic Confluence, another sort of modal counter spell that, sure, you don't have to counter the spell, you can use it to return creatures to the hand or draw cards. So whatever you need, it's nice. Having it as a counterspell is great because you need more counterspells in this deck, right? This deck didn't really come with a lot of counterspells. It came with that dragon and with the Sublime Epiphany, but having Mystic Confluence as well kind of helps with that as well. But you are running a lot of removal. We're adding Path to Exile as well. We're adding Snap, which is great way to sort of, if we're going to copy this, we get to untap 4 lands, which is great. And if we're not copying this, it's a great way to get another free spell, or make this spell free because you're untapping the 2 lands you tap to pay for it. Unexplained Absence, great removal spell, and, if you can copy this, you're just, gravy town right there. Volcanic Offering, also a fun, spell where you can get rid of a bunch of stuff on the board, and a lot of times opponents don't know that they could choose the same thing, right? You can destroy target non-basic land you control and target non-basic land of an opponent's choice you don't control. So your opponents could choose the same one, right? But they typically don't think of that. They just like, oh, I have to kill someone's land. So they'll usually get a lot out of this. And if you copy it, you're destroying 4 lands, and you're dealing 28 damage to creatures. So very strong card in here. We are adding 3 creatures. Kaikar Wind's Fury, going to be giving us 1/1 white flying blockers that we can also sacrifice to add red mana. So good mana generation there. Archmage of Runes is going to be drawing us cards when we cast instant and sorcery spells, and going to make them cost 1 less to cast. So I think a good replacement for that Haughty Djinn. And then Narset Enlightened Exile is giving all our creatures prowess. So all our monks will have double prowess, and then whenever Narset Enlightened Exile attacks, exile target non-creature non-land card with mana value less than its power from your graveyard and copy it. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. So it's from any graveyard. So it's definitely strong, and you're going to be using your graveyard a lot, right? Because we have a lot of removal spells, a lot of bounce spells. Be able to copy those and then copy them again with our commander. Very strong on deck. But yeah, that's the upgrade for the Shiko and Narset deck. Make sure to leave a comment on this video with your favorite Jeskai card. It doesn't have to be from Tarkir, just any red, white, and blue card. And make sure to check out the other videos. We're going to be giving away 1 deck of your choice from the set to whoever comments on all the videos. So make sure to like and subscribe to keep in the know of when those videos are coming out. And yeah, I'm going to keep working on the next ones, and y'all have a great day. Till next time. Bye.